Okay, you may think you've heard this before, but it is a new day, new year, new moment. So, ready?
So, good morning,
Good afternoon, good evening,
wherever you are on this planet.
whatever the season is, depending on what hemisphere you're on, and whatever your mood is, wherever you are, that's where we're starting. It's 2025 made easy. Welcome to being here.
Yeah, welcome to being here.
I've been noticing how much I've been enjoying listening to you lately.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh, I'm glad I'm finding that out now.
You know, as if you're a listener of ours and you've been around us for a while, you know that Shya and I've been together for a while. We've not only done this podcast for something like 18 years now, we've been together more than 42. And it was really lovely to be here enough to when we were together the other night and it was intimate and we were laying together to listen to the quality of his voice, to allow myself to be where I am and allow the vibration and the sound to permeate rather than trying to get somewhere or listen to his words to have a comment to come back with or to agree or disagree. Just being here was enough.
So, this is our intro to listening, huh?
It is, isn't it?
Very good. I like it.
Kind of came in he was listening and didn't expect it.
No, well, I was listening to you and I realized that what we're talking about now is listening. And how rarely we actually listen to another person, how our minds are so quick that if they stop talking for an instant, we finish the sentence that they're on in our heads before they ever get to the end. Uh,
You know, we are recording this before the first. It's released on the new year. And I went out today to go to a Pilates appointment and do some things. And my phone rang and it was Shya. And we have something fun. On our phones, we have an app that shows where the car is. And because it shows where the car is, it was obvious where I was. So he's like, I have an
well,
idea.
I actually saw you
Pull in.
pull into that place.
He's like, I'm guessing that you're at Basil Bandwagon, which was really fun.
That's the local
Obviously,
health food
I,
store.
I knew that he was on the app. And he said, I'm standing in front of the garage door in a sunspot. And I felt like I was sharing your moment. It wasn't like, hey, look, I gotta go. It was like a moment. It's a great way to start the year, allowing yourself just to have the moments as they arise.
Well, we mistakenly think that our moments are going to go on forever.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
then,
like to think
and
that.
yeah, of course, and that we're going to have next year. Uh, I don't know that I'm going to have next year. Now, I'm 83 years of age, so I've already beat the odds because the average man in the United States lives to something like 71 or something like that. So I've already beat the odds. But I don't assume anything anymore in that, this moment is all I really know I have. I spoke to a friend of mine today about how the fishing is on the Jersey coast, and I'm looking at going there day after tomorrow because I have work to do. We're scheduled to do things like seminars and such. So I have something to do tomorrow, so I can't go there tomorrow, but I'm going to go on Wednesday if Wednesday shows up. See, y'all assume that you'll be able to do what you want to do next year in 2026. I don't assume that. I'll see if I get there. but I'd have no certainty about how the future is going to unveil itself. And it may not be the way I'd prefer. The universe doesn't show up the way you prefer. Anyway, we were talking about listening, and we don't really listen. We think about what people are saying. We think about their motives for saying what they're saying. We think, are we being manipulated? And we worry about stuff like that because that's normal. What if you aren't normal?
Relax.
What if you trust your universe is showing up perfectly in this moment? Cannot be different. I can't be a second younger than I am in this moment.
I'm absolutely certain that some of our listeners are feeling tight today. I don't know when you're listening to this. I don't know if you're listening to it when we release it or down the road when things get tough or you perceive them as tough. It's okay to get tight or perceive things as tough or to not have the world, that politics, your life, your individual circumstances show up the way you would prefer. Now what?
Well, there's a very dangerous thing that you just said.
Mm,
See, I'm of the opinion
yeah,
that people's lives are showing up exactly the way they prefer, though they may not know it.
correct.
That they've engineered the circumstances of their life to dictate their life so they don't have to choose for themselves. The circumstances choose, and they feel powerless. Now, I'm of the opinion, it's not actually, I'm not the opinion, that's a lie. It's been my experience that I have engineered my life. So I live where I live. I do what I do, that it's all perfect. I did this.
If it's showing up in a way you don't prefer, you're listening to the thoughts in your
Head.
sphere, in your head, as if those thoughts are you.
And as if those thoughts are reality. See, we all are programmed. Our computer, our internal computer is programmed so that we fit in with the culture that we were born into. We learn the language of the culture, we learn the customs of the culture and the rules of behavior of the culture, and then we function within those rules. But that determines our ability to experience living because you can only experience the known. You cannot experience what hasn't shown up yet. But if you're busy in your thoughts, it can never show up. So your thoughts can only be repeats of a past. They're not uniquely equipped to discover the future before it arrives. If you have a relationship, you couldn't have met the person you're in relationship with 1 nanosecond before you did. They just showed up. Well, life is that way. And you think you engineer that, but you can only repeat what you know. And that's why most relationships go a very hard route. Ariel and I have discovered how to listen to one another.
Mm. And you know how you do that? You don't just listen to one another, you listen. That's what our Living Made Easy seminars are about. That's what the virtual weekends are about, the in person courses. And for those of you who listen to the podcast, it's about training yourself, strengthening the skill set of true listening.
Of being in your life rather than thinking about your life. Anyway, I think we have guests.
But before we take our first guest, which
Okay.
I'm excited for because he's never been on here before, we promised that this is, launch your new year with being here, hosted by Ariel and Shya Kane, and have your 2025 off to an easy start. If you want it off to an easy start, let's listen.
Got it.
All right, Ingo, welcome to being here. How awesome that you are launching us New year, new you, new
And
moment.
please tell us where you're calling in from.
Yeah, hello Ariel, hello Shya. I'm Ingo, I'm coming from Bremen in Germany. So it's really in the north of Germany. So maybe you know it. It's roughly 100 kilometers from Hamburg, where we met a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I know that I've been in Bremen. I don't recall when. It's so funny. We've traveled around quite a bit in Germany, and it's the geography still eludes me. I always get confused what's where in relation to other things. So thank you for the little picture of where you live.
And we've traveled
Yeah.
between Hamburg and Cologne
A lot.
because we have friends who have a theater there, and we've gone to see their performances several times.
Yeah, so that's fun too.
Yeah, and when you travel by train, then normally you pass through Hanover or through Bremen. So
Okay.
this
Okay.
is this is a normal way. Most of the people use Hanover. It's faster, but when you have time, you can also make a stop in Bremen and watch Bremen. So it's a nice city.
Well, I'm happy you're in a nice city. What can we do for you?
Yeah, for me, I was thinking about if I could plan to be happy. And my
That
own
is,
conclusion was no, I could not plan.
that's
I
right.
could plan where I want to travel. I could plan where I want to work and these things. But I guess I could not plan to be happy.
Right.
Well, you could plan to be happy, but I doubt it would be successful.
The universe might not go along with your plans.
Yeah, it's not so easy. Huh? So at the end, when I do a plan for my own to go to eat, then
Right?
I could be successful
Yes, but
because it's only for me.
Ingo, what is happiness for you? When you say I cannot plan to be happy, what does happiness look like?
Yeah, so it's a feeling. So like at the moment, I'm happy to be with you.
Nice.
Thank you.
But I could not plan when I plan to be with you that I will be happy at that moment.
That is very
That is
true.
such a great articulation of the truth of it, Ingo. It seems to be a spontaneous experience that you realize when you're happy having it, but it's not something you can successfully plan for.
Or successfully manipulate the circumstances to have happiness be the outcome.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. So when we talk about happiness, and I'm thinking a little bit in the past. So I
Okay.
changed my job 3 years ago. I was really unhappy with my former job.
Yes.
Every time the same. I don't have to prepare anything. So I was not happy. And then I decided, due to the COVID crisis, I changed my job.
Okay.
And I did it. And I can really say at the moment, I love my job.
Well, let me ask you something. This this life shift called happiness and love, has it happened in other aspects of your life other than just your job?
Yes, also with my relationship, which
Okay.
is since a little bit more than 1 year now.
That's
It's
right.
also changed my happiness a lot.
Yes. So you see, it's easy to blame your happiness at work or your loving your job on the circumstances changing, called you changed your job. But what about all those other things that have happened in your life outside of your changing your job that may have influenced you to appreciate where you are more?
Yeah, uh, you're right. It's not only the changing of something.
Yes.
Because when you change something, you have a lot of other things around you which are also changing in that moment.
Yes.
And new colleagues, the new jobs, the new colleagues, other colleagues, different cultures, and all these things. And for me, it's really, and this is what I really learned in your two participations in Hamburg for me, really not to think too many about the past and the future.
Mm.
But you see, your well being, your experience of happiness and loving your job and all that, it's not circumstantially determined. We've all been taught that it is circumstantially determined. In other words, the circumstances produce the result called you're feeling good about life. But what if it's not that? What if you feel good about life for reasons you cannot explain? And I know there's been things like you're attending our workshops for a couple of years, that clearly affects your ability to experience life. But, you can't put your finger on what did it.
Yeah, you're right. It's
You just feel better these days. Congratulations.
What we're talking around is an awesome topic because trying to figure out what causes you to be happy is a change conversation. When this circumstance happens, then, if then, it's reasonable. It happens over time. I got this new job, then I got happy. It's got good and bad. That was a bad working environment. This is a good one. It has right and wrong, better and worse.
I don't want to go for credit, but I'll go for a little credit, okay? You took 2 workshops with us in Hamburg. Actually, workshops is a misnomer. We talked. We didn't work on anything. And suddenly, for no reason, you started feeling lighter in your life.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
You're right. So I only can say that something happening.
Exactly.
And I could not say, yeah, but, okay, my mind is searching for a reason for it, I guess.
Yes, a reason and a quantifier and what happened and wants to talk about the phenomena.
Yeah. The main thing I could say, yes, I'm more happy.
Well, that's great. See, here's the thing, Ingo. Those seminars we did tricked you into the current moment of your life at that point. See, through listening, even though you couldn't understand what we were talking about a lot of the time.
And we're not talking about English versus German. We're talking about what the heck did that mean?
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't, sequentially obvious what was going on. One thing was following the next, but it didn't seem to attach to anything. And yet at the end of this couple of hours of sitting with a room full of people, just listening to what people are saying, somehow your life rearranged itself. There was a phenomenal, or as in phenomenon, a shift that took place in the way you are experiencing your life, and you call it happy.
Yeah, you're totally right. It's because at the end I could not explain why I'm more happy. I only can say that I am more happy.
Yes.
Which is a perfect articulation of transformation. with change, there's all sorts of reasons and goals, and you're going to produce these 3 items that we've identified in our mind that we want to have happen by the end of the weekend, and you get them or you don't. And transformation is this event. And then you see who you are and how you are, and it's not predictable or explainable. It's an experience. Like, I know you have a beautiful lady who you love.
And who loves you.
And who loves you deeply. Gives me goosebumps when I said
Yes.
that. So you can talk to me all you want about what, quote, love is, but that doesn't explain the experience.
But that doesn't give her the experience of loving that you have when you're with your lady.
Yes, I agree. It's the same as, yeah. So my mother is not alive anymore, but anyhow, I love her.
Yes.
And it's the same with my dad.
Mm.
She's also not alive, but I love him, and I love him as he was.
That's great.
It's also something what happened, yeah, after these sessions. I could not explain why it happened. I only can say before I said, okay, this and that what my dad did was not so good. And now I say, okay.
So Ingo,
gosh, you're so
I
much
want to
fun.
suggest that you have transformed, and when you transform both forward and back in time. So your relationship with your parents transformed with your transformation. So you see how much they loved you, how they cared about you, how they supported your well-being through all of your adolescent years when you were a little monster.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
you're right. It's amazing.
I love what you're talking about, because you're describing how most people live. They gather evidence and vendettas, and they hang on to it even after their parents are long gone, and it tarnishes what's possible in regards to your experiencing love,
especially in your current relationship, because if you have hostility towards your parents, you're going to have hostility to anybody who in any way resembles them. And your girlfriend's a woman, so then your mother's in trouble.
But I imagine you had no clue when you came to those 2 seminars in Hamburg with us that one of the outcomes, for lack of a better word, or one of the side benefits would be that you would regain or maybe even for the first time, have a full experience of love for your parents without the childhood or childish resentments that most of us carry around. That is also the difference between change and transformation. People are like, I'm going to fix my relationship with my parents.
You cannot imagine what's possible with a transformation, in that all that's happened before has been a repeat of your past. If you look, you'll see that since those 2 seminars that you did with us in Hamburg, without your doing anything, your life is showing up quite newly. You're experiencing things that you never experienced before.
Yes, absolutely.
And it wasn't that we told you to experience anything.
No, this was really only to listen, most of the time. For sure, I could not listen 8 hours a day without anything. It's always to see, oh, no, now you are thinking about what this guy or this lady has told us. No, you don't have to think about, only listen. So it's always this conversation also with me, with my brain, to say, no, you have to listen. And you're right, something changed. Well, not changed, transformed. It will transform because I did not do anything on that.
That's
It
right.
just happened.
Isn't that amazing?
It really is.
That
It's
really
more
is.
than amazing.
Especially since I don't know how old you are, but you're a man over 40 years.
A little bit older. I'm also 56 in the meantime.
That's
So
over 40. You see, I was being kind here, you know. In any event, you're a man of 56 years, and in the last 2 years, things have shown up radically different than you've ever experienced them before. How is that possible?
yeah, I could not explain, and I think also you could not really explain why it's happened.
You're absolutely right. I cannot explain why it's happened, but I do know that when you get into the current moment of your life starts to sync up, like it's synchronized with you in the current moment, rather than being lost in a past that you can do nothing about or a future that hasn't arrived yet.
Yeah.
You know, you actually did the potentially hard thing, Ingo, when you came 2 years ago or whenever we first met you. You jumped in without really knowing what you were getting into, and you trusted yourself.
And you trusted your girlfriend who introduced us together.
You're right. It
And
was
that-
really to say, I go and let's see what happens.
That's right.
And even that, I think you underestimate the brilliance of what you just said. Let's go and let's see what happens. From that framework, miracles can happen. Sometimes people are like, no, talk me into it. Or, okay, I'll go. You want me to go? And they sit back with their arms folded, like, okay, prove me.
As you say this, I remember there was a guy who came many years ago, and his wife came to the seminar to prove, just because he told her so much, but to prove he was wrong.
And she even said it. I came here because I really think he's I won't use the word she, is a jerk. And I'm here, you know, to show him basically the error of his ways, that
this can't work. Well, if you operate like you're right about what you know, then nothing will ever work. See, it's about being open to discovering your life.
I also think it's challenging, like when your girlfriend or your friend says, hey, come with me. The first thing that happens often is, what? Do you think there's something wrong with me? Shya and I were playing solitaire on the computer on his iPad the other night. And what we do when we play is he often plays a game, he wins one, he resets it up, and then we play it together. So I get to play lots of winning games.
She wins a lot
I win a
of
lot.
solitaire. The odds are not that good for most other people. You know, you play a lot of losing games before you have a winner. And you probably know that from relationships. A lot of losing games, and then you get a winner.
So we're in the middle of this game, and he's like, wait, you've got to move. And I didn't see it. He's like, wait, no, you've got to move. And I'm like, there's no 6 to go on that 7. There's no 10 to go on that jack. I'm like, what? I just couldn't see it. And finally, I'm like, you have to show it to me. And it was really silly. I had a king that could move into a blank spot. It was just sitting right there in front of me. And it was an interesting moment to not go into, he's embarrassing me, or to see something I don't see and not have to feel bad or stupid about it. Or defensive. And so I really admire when people come and they have to risk the possibility they might see something they don't like. And most times they have to risk.
The problem is you discover how great you are, not how bad you
already are. And that
yes.
trickles out to your parents, actually.
In that case, so when I joined the first time, I fully trust my girlfriend. She also said only, I could not really explain what we did there. You're just sitting there and listen and talking and having fun. I said, okay, let's do it.
All right, we'll try it. Well,
I'm glad you trusted her. I'm really glad that you are in our lives. It's been really a pleasure. And today I feel as though you enlightened me in your explanation of what you've gotten
and your experience
of our seminars, because I really see, they're always new and they're always different because so are we. We don't come with an idea that we're going to try to get you to believe. We haven't asked you to believe anything. And yet your life has gotten so much easier and better without your having to do anything. You didn't have to set a goal to be happy, and happiness showed up. How do you like that?
You're absolutely right. And this is something, so what I never did in the last 30 years to say, in the new year, I want to start something or to start something or like this, because in that case, I always said, when you really want something, then you will fight for it. And then you will do it. So you did not need these resolutions for the new year.
Yes.
But I believe you've discovered something additional now, Ingo, that the things that are really important for you, you don't always have to fight for. They can just happen all on their own.
Yes, you're right. And they came on their own, yeah.
Your girlfriend, Utah, you couldn't have met her a moment before you did. She didn't exist prior to that. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Before we say goodbye to Ingo, I want to do a shout out to Utah and all the people who've invited people over the years. And even if you can't explain, because you can't, we sit there, we talk, we have fun. And if a person is willing, that's enough. And I know a lot of people have invited folks, and if they don't come, sometimes it's disappointing. And when they do come, it's inspiring and a gift.
You give them a gift when you show up.
So shout out to all of you who make the leap yourself, and also who invite your friends and loved ones.
Transformation doesn't exist for most people until they discover it. And what Ingo has been talking about was his discovering his experience of living rather than his thoughts about living. You think that's true, Ingo?
Yes, absolutely true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Really, what an awesome opportunity to be with you today.
I really do appreciate having had this conversation with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
My life.
But it was my first podcast, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Hey, you want to hear about transformation? We've got one of our listeners about to tell you about what's happened in their life out of listening to being here.
This is Dave in Winnipeg, in Canada. I've been attending Living Made Easy seminars with Ariel and Shya, and they've given me access to my life, to all the ways that it shows up, and sometimes not even to my preferences, but it's all perfect. And I invite you to experience that.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively, interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. join any of their 2-hour online events, or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
We have lots of opportunities to participate with us in the year ahead. If you would like to be on our email list and receive newsletters and blogs in either English and in German, we send them out both ways. Transformationmadeeasy.com is where you go, and you can sign up for that. This weekend coming up, we have a virtual seminar, Leap into Life. It's Saturday and Sunday. There are all sorts of folks coming.
That's January 4th and 5th.
If you would like to jump in, it's not too late. You are welcome. Our next 2-hour events are not until the end of January, because we head off for Costa Rica directly following the Leap into Life seminar to do our annual courses there. For those of you who are joining us, we really look forward to seeing you there. If you're not joining us, it's not too early. You can plan for next year, for 2026, but it requires attending a weekend seminar. Wanted to let you know the other couple of things upcoming. Living Life with Passion and Wonder is a virtual seminar we're offering in February on the 22nd, 23rd. And the next in-person course in Hamburg, Germany happens Memorial Day weekend here for the United States. That's the weekend it takes place.
That's the weekend of May 23rd, 24th, and 25th.
Correct. And we're going early. We're doing a Freedom to Breathe course on Thursday, the 22nd. The theme.
Is that this Thursday, the 22nd or the 21st?
22nd.
Uh-huh.
Because it's 23rd.
Oh, I see. I was looking at the wrong one.
Yes, but you did it correct. It's the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. But you can find it all on our website. It's all a little complex here while you're listening. The theme is the superpower of being you. And I believe you just met an example of that with Ingo. You're invited, plan ahead, come join us. We're going to have fun. All right, let's take our next guest.
Yes.
All right, Maren. Welcome to being here.
Hi there. Thank you. Good to see you.
Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Brussels in Belgium.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. I was listening to Ingo and your conversation, and I caught my mind being really busy, going into comparison. I've met Ingo and his indeed lovely and beautiful Jutta, and my mind was going, well, Ingo's on before you on the show, so you will have to come up with a really interesting question. You have to be. Yeah, I started putting pressure on myself. Rather than just listen,
wait a second.
Be there.
Maren, darling, that you are having this conversation with us is such a miracle. Don't you realize that you're calling yourself out on what your mind does normally all the time, compares, finds you less, complains, all of that. You're not that voice you listen to.
First of all, thank you. I'm so happy you compared yourself, and I'll tell you why. Because you have to represent a wide swath of people who are listening. And not everybody is listening in their seat of centeredness. We interacted with you today with where you are today. So comparing, it's like Ingo is talking at the very beginning. We were talking with him about how the circumstances don't produce your experience.
Yeah.
That you have an experience through how you're being. So if you're comparing today, it's just telling you that you're already upset.
And it's the way your mind works. See, your mind, the voice you listen to, the one that says, I have to quiet my mind. Do you know that voice?
Oh, yeah.
What the one that says I have to come up with a really good question?
That one. See,
And it can't recognize a good question if it hit you over the head. Because your question, what you're talking about now, is
was
really
great.
great, but it doesn't think so. It's in the judge and evaluate good, bad, right, wrong.
And I can't listen while it's doing that. My mind's so busy, and at some point I noticed I'm not listening.
Yes and no. See, when you're listening to your mind, that's all you can be listening to. When that voice that calls itself Maren is in there talking, and you're listening to that, that's all you can be doing.
And it's busy. You're not busy. You're just
listening.
Okay.
You either listen out here or listen to that conversation.
And that conversation repeats itself. Haven't you noticed that?
A lot.
What?
And it's full of lies.
And it's full of complaints and lies about you to you, as though you are not already magnificent exactly the way you are. I don't have your voice. I have mine. It's similar, mine and yours. But when I looked at you, I could only see how beautiful you are. I know you don't like hearing that. Tough. You're just a beautiful being. How do you like that?
Thank you. I'm letting this sink in. I'm enjoying this.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look, we all have insecurities. And when they take over, we behave in ways that eventually we don't approve of. But that doesn't mean that we're not wonderful people.
Yeah.
Or that you're not a wonderful person. I got mine handled now. I'm pretty sure Ariel wouldn't hang out with me for more than 40 years if I were mean.
You really are an inspiration. Yeah. Great stuff.
I don't believe you'd experience the inspirational nature of us if you weren't in touch with your own inspirational nature.
Exactly. If you can see us as inspirational, then you are inspirational as well.
I mean, I believe you know this, Maren. I tend to get at least one good word or phrase every time we go to Germany. So genau, exactly. I love the way that roll, just how it feels in my mouth. I got flauschig and kuschelig last time, which is like yummy, fluffy, cuddly. Yeah. And one of the earlier ones for me is Zelba, as it takes one to know one. And for some reason, that phrase comes so alive for me while talking with you and being with you and with Ingo and with Shya. It's like if you allow yourself to be inspired, it exists in you.
And it's always new,
Yes.
And it's not my first time on the show, but every time it's new.
Well,
it's great.
Well, it is the first time on this show.
But you see, it is new. We've never had this conversation before.
Yeah, true.
Conversation about similar things. It's not this conversation.
Do you realize how many episodes we've done that we've talked about listening? And if Shya was listening to me today, he had no clue that I was introducing the topic of listening. He was just listening. It's all new when you're here for it.
And your life is new when you're here for it. But you can bring the story from your past into the current moment, and then you don't have a current moment. You only have the past repeating itself. And if you look and see, that's how life was before you met us.
And from time to time, it's
after as well.
I went to Pilates today. I've been doing that form of exercise for 30 years, a long time, Maren. And it was interesting for me to lay on the piece of equipment that they call a reformer and become aware of the micro movements in my shoulders to bring them up closer to my ears when they were not needed to produce the exercise that I was involved in. It's not a failure on my part. And it's not like, oh, I've done this for 30 years. It was.
You think you could get it right by now?
No, yeah, really, for God's sakes, it was new. You have the opportunity to experience what you're doing.
Yeah.
And Shya said something earlier, and he always says, I know I do too. This is not to put me in a lesser light, but when he was talking about the repetitive nature of our minds, people are like, yeah, okay, he's talked about that before. Oh yeah, repetitive nature, blah, blah, blah. But your mind repeats what it's had an influx of. Your culture. We have a video coming out in 1 month on the 1st of February with Bruni, who's come to, also like Ingo, to 2 seminars and talking about her experience of herself. And the lovely Sandy was kind enough to simul-translate because Bruni does not speak English. And she was talking about the difference between that enculturation, how she thought about herself, and now how she's beginning to experience herself.
Yeah.
You don't have to take that mental enculturation seriously.
In fact, if you take it seriously, it owns you. And here's something for you personally, okay?
Okay.
Your body type is long and thin.
Mm-hmm.
That body type technically is called ectomorphic. That body type thinks a lot and worries about everything.
It's kind of like a race car. There's a race car, and then there are dump trucks. I'm not saying that I'm not comparing body types now. I'm just saying if you take a race car, it is built for speed.
Mm-hmm.
And a dump truck is built to haul around heavy things. Now, don't take this over into body types, but your body type is built for that. It's built to think that you can manage the race car so you don't get tickets.
Sometimes it helps to be a race car. I'm a simultaneous translator.
Yes.
And those Italians and the French, they go really fast. So it helps to have a really speedy mind.
Yes.
It doesn't make you get lost in worries and things.
Yeah, I admire your talent.
And your ability to have that
skill.
Speedy translation.
I admire that. I don't have that. I'm a simpleton, you see. I'm very simple. I may be intelligent, but I don't have the mind of a translator who can take one language and speak another almost simultaneously. I just don't have that. A lot of people do, I notice, but I'm not less because I don't.
Well, I like that you brought that up, though, Marion, because one of your assets is your speedy mind. Mm-hmm. And that you take 2 fast languages, translate back and forth in a way that all the participants that you're translating for can follow the conversation. However, those things that we practice and we're skilled at can sometimes take us over.
Yeah.
And so you're likely to be really good at having speedy thoughts.
But you're probably really good at finding faults with your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's just an automatic thing. Now, you don't have to put your foot so heavy on the gas pedal. That's all.
Mm. Yeah.
If you realize how responsive your car is, to use that analogy, our car, we drive a Tesla.
It is very responsive.
It is very responsive. And we have it, there are different modes. We don't even have it in the peppiest mode because we don't need it to just race out of a driveway. We can move very quickly. It's very responsive. So it's also upon us to not be heavy-footed when we're going places, or we
We'd end
crash.
up with tickets that we don't.
Tickets and dents.
Or in the ditch
Yes.
off the road. Yeah.
Well, our driving skills are better than that, I believe.
Oh,
Yes.
good. I'm glad. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, really a treat with you today.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate it. Appreciate you.
selber.
See, she said so
No.
good.
Thank
Well,
you.
this is an excellent episode to share with your friends. What a great way to start the year. Welcome to 2025, everybody. You can find all our courses, the newsletter link to sign up on our website.
Transformationmadeeasy.com.
Next week's episode, this should be really fun. Apology addiction.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. Me too. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to tell you
I'm sorry.
that we'll be back next week.
So sorry.
So come on back.
And don't miss being here.
Woo-hoo.